Perfect.
Okay, well, thank you, Nacho. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. And it's really nice to see you here today. My name is Nastya. I come from Slovenian Union of Blind and Partially Sighted. And we are hosting and organizing this webinar on assistive technologies for people with low vision. And we are coordinators for low vision activities at the EBU. Also, Nacho, you already met. He's from the EBU office, and Amadine is also here. So welcome, and welcome all the other participants from different countries. So as I said, today's webinar will be about assistive technology, and our key speaker, who already presented himself, he's Julian Jackson from UK, user of assistive technologies himself. So
Hello.
in year 2016, he launched his social enterprise called Vision Bridge, which he will introduce to us today. And Vision Bridge mission is not only to support eye research, but also innovations, solutions, different apps. So today we will find out more about two particular examples of tech innovations. And they will be presented and demonstrated by Julian's guests, who are developers of these two products. And I'm sure that Julian would also present them more while he'll be speaking. So after this presentation, after demonstration, there will be time for your questions, like 20 minutes of time for the questions left. And now I'll hand the floor to you, Julian, and I hope you will all enjoy this webinar very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nastya, and a very good morning to everybody. It's wonderful to be here. And I must thank Nastya and her team, and also the European Blind Union for the opportunity to eulogize about and advocate for the wonders of assistive technology. What I'm going to say is entirely personal and independent, and my social enterprise Vision Bridge has no commercial interest in assistive technology, and any companies that I mention are just for illustration purposes only. What I thought I'd do is give you a snapshot of some of the assistive technologies that have emerged in prototype and in fully finished form that have really caught my attention in the last 12, 18 months. And then touch on Vision Bridge and the activities that we're involved in the context of the UK, but relate that also to the situation in Europe and globally. Talk a little bit about eye research and how that relates to the developments in assistive technology. Then do a quick dive into some portables and wearables solutions and apps. And then, very excitingly, I'm going to introduce you to two who I believe to be the biggest titans, if you like, in their respective fields in the world today, being WeWalk and Waymap. So just to have a little peek into some of the technologies that have emerged, and some of these names you may know. A wonderful app called Louie, L-O-U-I-E, that is a voice-activated app that can book Uber taxis. Now that, for me, would be an absolute game changer. There is an app called OKO, O-K-O, that has emerged and is receiving a lot of funding currently, that can recognize traffic lights that go from green to red and vice versa. There is even a little app that can switch traffic lights from green to red without actually touching a button, which you can appreciate would be very useful, not just for visually impaired, but those with other physical disabilities who couldn't reach out and touch the button. There's a wonderful little platform, self-driving platform called Glide, made by a company called Glidance in the USA, which is operated by a pole, uses GPS, which can trundle around in front of you. Again, another prototype. There is an app that you may be familiar with called Zap Vision, which can read enhanced QR codes. Now, this for me is a wonderful example of an app that focuses on a specific sector. And this is about accessing foodstuffs, providing more information about the food you're looking to buy in a supermarket. And that is beginning to grow, not just from the efforts of the developer themselves, but also through the foodstuff manufacturers and packagers around the world. And that's, I think, very good news. There's also a very interesting app that that has been developed, or technology that has been developed around what they call electronic osmotic technology. Now, this, I think, is going to be a game changer for people like myself who can't see at all when it comes to interfacing with flat screens. You can imagine how difficult it can be if you can't actually feel what is being displayed in front of you. But electric osmotic pumps will actually be able to move fluid around and create buttons and knobs and raise them up on a surface, which you can literally twist or press. And the similar sort of technology called electric vibration is being developed by, funnily enough, Disney. The gaming industry are looking at this very carefully. But again, this will simulate the feeling of touch for people's on people's fingertips. In the Braille sector, you have a device called HaptiRead. Now, I think this is absolutely fascinating. Instead of having to touch Braille, as people do now, to read the dots, they will be able to lay their hands over a device that simulates the feeling of a Braille key with the use of air jets. So, for example, a venue can change, if you like, the message of a Braille device, of this Braille device, by simply changing the way that the air jets are working on your fingers. And you can appreciate in COVID, not very many people wanted to touch surfaces. So that's being developed in the European Technology Institute right now. There is a Braille glove, which is being developed in India, which actually reads dots by throwing a light from an LED display across these dots, which of course then create shadows, which are then interpreted by the AI camera and interpreted and turned into words. So it can either be a training tool, or it can be simply a device for reading Braille when you can't actually read Braille. And I love that. Haptic feedback is also becoming very apparent in the technology sector. I am forever being sent devices. I had vibrating shoes that were sent to me last year, which were supposed to avoid obstacles. I've had vibrating belts, vibrating shoulder straps, harnesses, and even vibrating wristbands that are linked to virtual routes that are supposed to help me navigate my way around. So you can appreciate, there's plenty going on. I should also mention, of course, GPT that we're all aware of, but GPT is now becoming interactive. And GPT combined with remote sighted assistance, human remote sight assistance, is going to be an extremely powerful support for the visually impaired and people with other cognitive and sensory challenges. And I hope that we will be mentioning their dive into remote sight assistance later on in relation to their app. I also should mention what I call the more invasive assistive technology. You have, for example, people working on what they call cortical visual prosthetics. Now, these are microchips in the visual cortex of the brain, which are linked to a camera and a processor, which create a type of vision, a form of vision. It's not the acuity that sighted people have, but it may well be quite a useful support in time to come. You have retinal implants that are currently being devised with a similar camera and processor, but the chip sits in the retina to activate or stimulate dead or dying cells. You have intraocular implants that are, I think, a really clever invention, which allow or move the light that comes in through the front of your eye and places it on a part of the macula in the retina which is still alive. Now, that is a game changer for a lot of people with macular degeneration. And you even have smart contact lenses now in prototype form, which I'm convinced in a few years' time will help people actually wayfind. It will throw up details about where you are and where you need to go. Again, a lot of money pouring into smart contact lenses driven by the gaming industry, but you can appreciate for people with some form of vision, that could be really interesting. And one other device that I have been tracking for probably 3 years called Oculenz, Oculenz, which has been developed by Ocutrex in America. Now, this device, I think, crosses over sort of medical and assistive technology. It's a headset that uses eye tracking software, and it can move the line of sight of somebody with macular degeneration away from the scotoma that sits in the retina. And that line of sight will then be tracked by the software, and it can actually measure the speed and shape and size of the scotoma, the speed of growth of it, and that can then be Wi-Fi to professionals in the field. That is, I think, a really, really clever piece of kit, and it crosses over patient monitoring, eye tracking software, and I think will help an awful lot of people. So, you know, as Napoleon, who I think we all know, once said, impossibility is a word only to be found in the dictionary of fools. And I would suggest that tech developers these days, including the two I'm going to introduce to you, are really picking that up and pushing the boundaries very much, which is a great thing. And not, this is an important point, they're not just supporting those with visual impairment and complete sight loss. We're now beginning to see technology that is actually relevant to people with mild to moderate dementia, with learning disabilities, with autism, and even with cerebral visual impairment, with brain injury, with topographical disorientation, and various other challenges. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. So look, just to put all of that into context, Vision Bridge is, as Nastya said at the beginning, a social enterprise. We're a not-for-profit organization. We survive on donations from corporates and individuals. So if you feel tempted, please get in touch with me after the webinar. We are very active in the advocacy for eye research. We promote eye health. We champion innovation in assistive technology and in diagnostics, monitoring and testing equipment. And also we support the development of educational equipment that simulates sight loss. That's a really, really important area, which we believe can enhance professionals' behavior in the way that they manage people with visual impairment. We are trying to bridge the gap in people's knowledge between what is going on in laboratories and in workshops and what comes out in clinics and in hospitals and practices and retailers and distributors. And we're trying to marry these activities of vision enhancement and vision correction with the work around prevention, treatment, and cure of sight loss, and the technology development that is around, that we're all talking about today, that mitigates the impact of sight loss on people. So I suppose in a nutshell, we are trying to give primarily assistive technology a profile that's more noticeable, an image that is more recognizable. We're trying to speak about it in a language that is understandable, and most importantly, I think we're trying to put it all into a context that is inspirational, that will encourage people like yourselves to go out and get curious about technology, talk to other colleagues about it, and essentially spread the word amongst patient support groups NGOs, policymakers, those who are involved with regulation, with standards and so forth. There was an author called Jack London, who you may have heard of, and he once said, "You cannot just sit around and wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club." And I hope that is what Vision Bridge is doing. But just to take you back to 2010, and to give you my sort of personal view, I lost my sight very quickly over a 3-week period. And it was then a very alarming, confusing, disorientating, and even isolating experience. And I'd been diagnosed as a 5-year-old, but of course, no amount of time thinking about going blind really sets you up for when you go blind. And the reason I mention that is because back then, assistive technology really wasn't very apparent. There was one particular solution that, in fact, saved my ability to work and my quality of life, and gave me a window on the outside world, and that was JAWS, a solution that I'm sure you're familiar with. A remarkable invention, and I know many, many millions of people around the world are using it. And then, of course, you project forward to a few years back, when a device like ORCAM, I don't know if you can see that, but ORCAM is an. Am I facing the right way? Oh,
there you go.
Oh, I'm now facing the right way, but you can still hear me, which is great. This is a camera, an AI camera, and with an LED display. It used to be a box with wires sticking out of it, and now it's a very beautiful little finessed device, which is Wi-Fi enabled, Bluetooth connected, and can read objects, recognize objects, and read hard copy text and handwriting, and it can recognize money and faces and color. And it's just a wonderful little support to have. I'm sure if you Google it, you can read more about it. But that is just a very good example, essentially, of what technology, how technology has really improved in the last few years. It drove me essentially back in 2010 to start looking around into eye research. And I discovered an extraordinary army of world-class researchers. One of them said to me, "Julian, contributing to good vision is not just an intellectual vocation, it's a moral cause." And I love that sort of imperative that they have in the eye research sector. The similarity with assistive technology is that they are incredibly underfunded. The research is underfunded. So I would implore the European Union to keep delivering grants to tech developers, and for investors in tech companies to appreciate that there is a greater cause out there than just making a profit. There is here a cause to support people's quality of life and ultimately improve local economies, because people can work, they can move around, they can stay connected to the community, and so on. Just in terms of the UK, which I'm sure you can relate to the to Europe and to globally, there are an awful lot of people in this country who are aging, whose sight is impacted on by environment and lifestyle, and by mutant genes and inherited family history, by injury and trauma. And that is very much the backdrop to the sort of developments that you could see in cataract surgery, corneal transplantations, in gene therapy and stem cell research, the use of AI, the extraordinary changes in drug delivery, and even drugs themselves, which are obviously becoming cheaper and more personalized, and giving certainly professionals the opportunity to track the disease and the progress that drugs, or impact that drugs can have on disease. There's a great deal of patient monitoring, as I mentioned earlier, and certainly virtual clinics. The use of AI in diagnostics is absolutely fantastic. But, you know, set against that, again, I'm sure you can see similarities in Europe. There is a tremendous lack of understanding and awareness of assistive technology, certainly. And many professionals that I talk to say that they are just overwhelmed with the information that's coming out. They can't keep up. I suppose that's a very good thing because it shows how much innovation really is going on, but they can't keep up with all this innovation. They rely too much, they say, on the internet and on colleagues who may know a little bit more, and certainly on local charities for information. Now that ultimately affects people with visual impairment and total sight loss, because if the professionals don't know about the assistive technology, then how on earth are we going to know about the assistive technology? So Vision Bridge, in collaboration with Sight and Sound Technology, the leading distributor of tech in the UK, has been developing lots of training sessions, demonstrations, and Q&A to try to raise that level of awareness and understanding. We've also created a referral portal so that professionals can now refer patients or encourage patients to self-refer directly to distributors who have a track record for supporting, guiding, and advising people with visual impairment around what is appropriate in terms of the assistive technology. And I think that's going to be a very good thing. And the other thing that Vision Bridge does currently, we work a lot with tech developers worldwide. We like to get involved in discussions around influencing functionality and usability of technology, and also the ergonomics, if that's appropriate, and even the price. We have a great pipeline of prototypes and those sort of products and solutions that are ready for market coming into the UK and also out of the UK. And I would encourage, of course, tech developers to talk to each other more. I think there's a tremendous opportunity there. So those are sort of the three pillars, I suppose, of our activity here, which we'd love to be able to spread globally. Just in terms of a quick run through of the portable solutions, wearables and apps across vision enhancement, obstacle avoidance, object recognition and reading support, smart infrastructure, remote-sighted assistance, and obviously wayfinding. I mean, there's a whole gamut there of technology. But I would say as a sort of conclusion to where I see development in assistive tech, certainly the wearable market, these devices are becoming smaller and cheaper, lighter, cleverer. They are becoming more robust, in my experience. They're becoming more, for example, water resistant, dust resistant. They're certainly becoming more disease specific. I mentioned OcuLens earlier, and also task oriented. In the old days, tech was just, I would say, thrown onto the market, and there wasn't much discussion about what really worked for a particular individual, but that is now changing. Certainly, there's the great use of bone conduction microphones, and also a cleverer use of sound. They're now changing, again, this is all work in the laboratory, but changing ultrasonic waves and adapting them into high fidelity, which I think will be a wonderful boon for people who need to use their ears to orientate. It's, if you like, taking the analog out and leaving the quality in. And I haven't got time to give you lots of examples, but there are plenty now of a cleverer use of sound. There are many more languages now available. The battery life is getting longer. The charging is getting faster. And I would say the sensors, the use of radar, LiDAR, and infrared are much more powerful now. Again, there are still a few problems with infrared and direct sunshine, but again, there are some very clever technologies now using these sensors in a way that can calibrate risk for people hitting objects and so forth. And in terms of vision enhancement, certainly the screens are getting wider. The cameras are getting much more acute. They are the night vision is getting very good now, and I would say overall the experience for people wishing to read, wishing to zoom in, to magnify, to freeze, especially with the anti-head wobble device technology now, is just very clever. The color differentiation is excellent. The contrast sensitivity is really good. I'm not sure how much better really vision enhancement can become, but certainly the AI and the augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, and extended reality, all of these things are combining, I think, to create a very powerful set of solutions. So essentially, to round up, I would say the two big drivers, I think, in technology now are about obstacle avoidance and orientation, and wayfinding. As I said, I think vision enhancement and solutions with certain wearables are very, very good. But the reasons I've asked WeWalk to join us is simply because I think they are one of the best listening developers in the world. They really want to understand what users think of their smart cane and their app. They continue to innovate, and it's just an enormous help for people, especially like me, who keep bashing their heads on overhead objects. They've got a wonderful device, which I'm sure they will tell you about, but connected to the app which they have, which continues to innovate, I think will be an absolute game changer. In terms of Waymap, again, wayfinding is a very crowded market. There's plenty out there that are using image recognition, tags, beacons, vibrating wristbands I mentioned earlier, smart crystals that talk to canes, electronic guide dogs, internal robots, you name it. But what I'm really after, and this is why I've invited Waymap, what I'm after personally, and I know I speak for millions and millions of other people out there, we simply want a solution that is seamless, that can move us from outside to inside very easily, that doesn't require connectivity inside, that can provide me with a head-up, hands-free experience. And where I can have the confidence to be mobile and independent and safe and informed as possible. I'm absolutely convinced that wayfinding, and combined with obstacle avoidance and orientation, is going to be the biggest driver for local economies. It's going to encourage more people to explore, have the confidence to move around in the built environment, stay connected with community, and also, most importantly of all, support mental health and emotional well-being, because the feeling of isolation, as I mentioned earlier, is very strong when one loses one's sight. And we need people to be able to get out and move around as much as possible. So in the last minute, I would just conclude, I would say there's a lot of hyperbole about assistive talk, a lot of people talking about the wonders of technology, how game-changing and life-changing they are. I would just encourage you and others to go out and get their hands on this technology and really experience it for yourselves. I think certainly we want to get to a point where assistive technology is appropriate, it's affordable, it's understood, and it's everywhere. And with your help, we can do that. So I'm so pleased that I've had this opportunity to talk, and I'm delighted, if I may, to hand over to WeWalk and then to Waymap. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Julian, for that inspiring talk. So my name is Sid, or Siddharth. I'm a business development manager with WeWalk, and I have here with me my colleague Joe, who is a community manager with WeWalk, and he's been there since more than 3 years. And Joe specializes in in demonstrating the WeWalk cane and the app. So Joe, if you can maybe introduce yourself a bit more and then take over and maybe share a screen to really show people what WeWalk is, it would be great. So we have 20 minutes, I reckon. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for the introduction, Sid, and thank you for the introduction as well, Julian. So it's a pleasure to be speaking with all of you. I am the growth manager as well as community manager for WeWalk. So one of my main responsibilities is making sure that I'm listening to our users so that we can help develop new products and new technologies for the visually impaired community. And as Sid mentioned, I just have a short presentation for you just to give you an overview of WeWalk as an organization, and then some of the future technologies that we are developing. So please bear with me for one moment. And if anyone out there is visually impaired themselves, I will also audio describe what is being displayed on the screen. Give me one moment, please. Excellent. So now my screen is being displayed. There's a blue background with WeWalk on the background. And the next slide just shows a mission and mobility. And our mission here at WeWalk is to leverage cutting-edge technology and combine that with AI to create revolutionary mobility tools for society driven by lived experiences. And we like to emphasize lived experiences because even though I'm sighted myself, multiple team members on WeWalk are visually impaired. So for example, our R&D lead, our product manager, as well as one of our co-founders, they are all visually impaired. So a lot of their input goes into the product to make sure that we are listening to the community when we build our technologies. In addition to that, we work with many organizational partners, which I'll share later on in order to shape our technology. And what we've developed is the WeWalk Smart Cane, which is now being displayed on the screen. There's a woman holding it. And the bottom section is an Ambitech 4-piece foldable graphite cane. The top section has been replaced with a smart handle device that has an ultrasonic sensor that allows you to be able to detect above chest level obstacles with haptic feedback. We've also designed our own custom app that pairs up with the cane via Bluetooth and has things such as navigation, exploration, as well as a transport mode to be able to discover nearby transport stops. It also has a touchpad built into it, which means someone can place their phone in their pocket and control the WeWalk application to get turn-by-turn navigation without ever having to take out their phone. All of our technologies are constantly evolving. Our software upgrades are free. You simply just need to download the latest version on your application and you will get any upgrades that we develop in the future. And this screen just shows a couple of screenshots of our WeWalk application. On the very left-hand side, there is a screenshot of our low vision mapping. What's nice about the WeWalk applications is it's fully accessible for not only low vision users, but for our blind users as well. So we have a low vision map being displayed. We have high contrast colors for our low vision users as well. Screen readers are compatible with WeWalk apps. So if you use voiceover or talkback, you'll be able to use that with our application. The center screenshot shows our exploration mode. If someone is, for example, traveling to a new city and they want to know any places that are around them, they can enable the exploration mode switch and it'll announce the point of interest name, its clock direction, as well as its distance. So for example, if I have a Starbucks to my right, it would say Starbucks, 20 meters, 3 o'clock, and a lot of it can be customized directly through the WeWalk application. And then the very right-hand side shows our transport feature. If someone is in a region that has public transit available, they can actually check timetables, they can check the stops that that particular public transit option makes, and then they can also get a stop tracking feature, which means when they board that mode of transit, they can select the stop that they want to get off at, and they'll be notified through an audio as well as an in-app notification when it's time for them to get off their stop. And what's nice about the WeWalk application is it combines all of the elements that you might find in other mobility apps in one single app. So we like to refer to it as sort of the Swiss Army knife of mobility apps, where you can get your navigation needs, your point of interest needs to find popular points of interest, and then you have those transport features as well in case you want to get there via metro, bus. We also have Uber and Lyft integration as well. So if you want to get there through ride sharing applications, you can do that as well. And all of this has allowed us to get international recognition. On the screen, we have some of our awards that we've won, including Time's Best Invention. We were recognized by Fast Company as a world-changing idea.
No.
We won an Edison Awards Gold as well, and we won Amazon's Startup of the Year. And we've been featured on prominent media outlets, including CNN, BBC, Bloomberg, and Forbes. And this screen just displays some of the various media outlets that we've been featured in. One of the most exciting projects that we're working on right now is called AI for Accessibility, or AIM, and we've been accepted in Microsoft's AI for Accessibility program. And through this, we're developing our AI mobility platform, which I should have mentioned earlier, that's actually the AIM acronym. But with AIM, it's very exciting because as an operations and mobility instructor, you can actually use the technology inside the WeWalk Smart Cane to gather data such as cane angle, cane swipes, walking speed, distance traveled. So essentially, you'll be able to use the Smart Cane as a Fitbit of some sort where your student can just take it around, and then as an O&M instructor, you'll be able to see their cane usage habits and make improvements as needed. Because inside the cane itself, we have a gyroscope, accelerometer, as well as a compass. And again, simply give them the Smart Cane, and then as an O&M instructor, all that data is then being fed into Microsoft, and then you'll be able to assess how they're using their canes to make sure that they're using correct cane techniques. So for example, if Julian is holding his cane way too high, the O&M instructor will say, you know what, Julian, you need to lower it a little bit more to make sure that you're holding it correctly when you're outside. You'll also be able to rate confidence levels as well. So after you finish each journey, you'll be able to rate on a scale of 1 to 5 how confident you are with that journey, and then you'll be able to assess whether or not your student feels comfortable enough to be able to travel on their own. We also won a £1.7 million grant through the UK Research and Innovation Centre. We work with organizations such as Imperial College London and Royal National Institute for the Blind in the UK. This screen just displays those organizational partners as well as the amount that we had won through the grant funding. And through that grant funding, we're also going to be developing not only technologies for visually impaired people, but technologies that benefit the elderly population as well. So I'm going to just show a short video that just shows how that technology is going to be developed.
We're delighted to have been awarded the Design for Aging funding, and working with WeWalk and Imperial College London, we've got a super exciting opportunity really to take the whole premise of navigation and move the dial and make sure that the experience moves forward for people. So we'll be heavily involved in user testing, working with a large group of blind and partially sighted people and harnessing their lived experience day to day, but also working with our user experience expert team and creating essentially a product that really changes the game for blind and partially sighted people every day.
So the Design for Aging project is one that effectively allows us to bring the dream of seamless, fully automated navigation system for blind people a reality. And what this actually does from our perspective is effectively to give the visually impaired person overall situational awareness, which means that they are able to sense the environment within which they operate, and then to be able to navigate and wayfind easily from point A to point B. So that's quite exciting for us. We're going to be using some of the most sophisticated sensing and analytics technologies, including artificial intelligence and machine learning, to make this happen. The future is bright. The future is extremely bright for WeWalk, because the technologies that we're developing, which are for the visually impaired, are also transferable, dare I say, even to autonomous driving, right? Also to do with making sure that the quality of living of our aging population is maintained at the highest level, to ensure that the lives of our old people continue to be of a high quality.
And this screen just shows our international presence. We've been around since 2019, and through that, we've been able to build relationships with various organizations, many of them quite well known. So for example, we have a relationship with CNIB in Canada, as well as Vision Australia in the Australia region, which is the largest blind organization in Australia. In the US, we have many partners as well, including Helen Keller Services for the Blind, as well as Lighthouse Guild. And we have many distributors in the US market, including MaxiAids and LSNS. One of the things we're looking to do in the future is expand our health insurance coverage model, which is now being displayed on the screen. We are CE, FCC, as well as FDA certified. What we're looking to do in the future is work with private insurance companies as well to see what type of insurance coverage we might be able to provide anyone who might be interested in these types of technologies, because we want it to be as financially available to anyone that needs these types of technologies. And that's why we're trying to work with insurance companies to see what they might be able to do to help offset some of those costs. This screen shows our social impact investors. So for example, Nesta and KHP, they are impact-driven investors. And on the right-hand side, we have an article where WeWalk was actually featured on TechCrunch, just sharing our technology as well as the impact that we're trying to make across the world. And I have one more video for you, because all the things that I'm saying can be great, but in the end, it's really the users that count. So I'd like to share some of our WeWalk SmartCane users across the world.
If you give somebody the right tools, like for me, WeWalk, like that enable me to be independent, like I've traveled all over the country by myself and I can't see anything.
It's so important to make people realize that they are not limited and that everyone, all of us, has the power.
You know what, I'm gonna go out and get out there and do something, find a new place or whatever it is. You don't hesitate as much, you kind of feel more at ease. So I think it's really nice to have. It opened the world for things that we could never do before.
I can't say enough about what WeWalk has allowed me to do. It has given me back my independence. It has given me back the freedom to walk on my own, feel comfortable doing so, and not having to hold on to someone.
And I hope that has given you a starting point to get a better understanding of WeWalk as an organization and some of the technologies we're looking to develop in the future. What I love about that last video is it just shows that WeWalk can be used by all forms of life. So we have people young and old using WeWalk. Our youngest user is 14 years old. Our oldest one is 76-year-old. So it's one of those things where if they put enough practice into it, anyone can learn it. And again, we just want everyone out there to be more independent, integrate people into social life. And if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and open it up now for that. Thank you.
Para ayudar a las personas con discapacidad visual.
Am I on? You're on. Okay. Thanks so much, Joe, for that lovely demonstration. Nastya, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Did you have anything to say, or shall we hand over to Chelsea from Waymap?
Yeah, I think we should continue with Waymap, and then we leave some time for questions after the Waymap demonstration. Okay. Yeah, I would just like to just something I would like to say that when you share the screen, and if you want to share videos, click for optimize for video clip, because the video will be running more smoothly. Okay.
Okay. And Nastya, can you publicize the Twitter feed? Because I know it's already been posted, so people can just go on there and take that, can't they? And spin it on again, retweet. Yeah.
I didn't understand now, because I'm not really a Twitter user, so
yeah, I mean,
maybe Nacho can answer.
I'm doing the one doing this. Don't worry, Julian. I've already tagged Vision Bridge, and also WeWalk has been tagged.
Okay, and then Waymap coming now. Brilliant.
Yeah, correct.
Morning, Chelsea.
Righty, good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for having me. Thank you, Nastya, for organizing. Julian, for your intro, and also Joe for your chat about WeWalk. Really interesting stuff. So I think just diving into Waymap, we are an organization, I guess, with a similar vision and mission to that WeWalk has just explained, a slightly different history. So I'll touch first of all on our history, because I think it's relevant for understanding where we've gone as both a company and also a product. But Waymap was originally ideated out of a charity here I'm in London at the moment, and the charity's based in London. The charity is called the Royal Society for Blind Children, and the charity does exactly what the name suggests. It looks after the needs of children and young people with visual impairments. And what those young people identified as their number one issue with their disability on an annual basis, every single year, the same thing kept coming up, was that lack of mobility was the number one gripe that they had with their disability. And this was probably 20 years ago, so a long time ago, where our founder and chief executive was he was the chief executive of the Royal Society for Blind Children, and he decided to make it kind of his life's mission to find a way to utilize technology to make a solution for that problem. So he set out to build a technology that would allow young blind individuals to get around the London Underground initially independently, to go on dates, to go to the movie theatre, to go to sports games, whatever it might be, independently. And our vision as an organization has grown quite a lot since then, but the technology we've been developing has always been to make that initial use case a reality. So if you look at the problems from a kind of technology point of view that are created, that are evident when you try and make that use case a reality, the obvious one is that GPS as a location system doesn't work indoors. And what we were trying to do was we were trying to build a technology that doesn't just work outdoor, it also works indoor, it also works deep underground, and it works to the same level of accuracy in all of those environments where you've got varying levels of signal from a GPS, from Bluetooth, from Wi-Fi, whatever it might be. In fact, you might have no signals whatsoever. So we set out to build a new suite of technology, almost, I'd call it, that could locate users in any environment. And then the whole system has been built on top of that, because our kind of thesis from day one was that it's not useful to get somebody into a train station with really accurate instruction and then it stops working. If it stops working at that stage, then the system you've built is not fit for purpose. So what we've built is, at kind of under the hood, we've built a new technology that locates users using nothing but their own energy as they walk around. So what we actually do is, as somebody walks around a train station or a hospital or a museum or wherever it might be, we measure the energy that they exert as they walk using the sensors that are built into a normal Android or iOS smartphone. And really where our business is unique is the way that we transform that energy into real location information. So let me share my screen, because that might sound a little bit sci-fi. I'm going to share now. And on the screen that I'm sharing, what is on the screen is a very simple map representation of what one of our Waymap maps looks like. This isn't what the user physically sees, but this tool that I'm showing is something that actually visualizes the way that our technology works. So I'm going to click play. Give me 1 second here. So if I click play, what you'll see is that on the top left of the screen, we have a user using the Waymap app, and she's walking around outside of a train station in Washington, DC in the United States. And on the majority of the screen, you're seeing a blue cloud almost of crosses with a red dot, a yellow dot, and a green dot. And the blue cloud of crosses is slightly technical, but what that is our algorithm in motion as somebody's really using the app. And what's happening there is not really relevant, but what's important is the yellow dot is the location as shown by GPS. So either Google Maps, Apple Maps, City Map, or whatever it might be. The red dot is the location as identified by our suite of location algorithms. And what you can see is that the user is now walking around outdoor, and the difference between GPS and Waymap is not that great. But as soon as the user now walks under an underpass, the difference becomes 5, 10, 15, 20, and even more meters. And if you are 20, 30, 40 meters inaccurate when you go indoors, any instruction you give based on location is completely nonsensical. So I'll stop that video here. But really what this video is representing is the fact that the user is inside of the building. The red dot, which is Waymap's location, is probably 1, if not less than 1 meter away from where the user really is. And the GPS location is probably 40, 50 meters away from where the user really is. So what we've built as Waymap is we've built a new approach to localization. And what that means is we can offer an experience in terms of navigation that nobody else on the planet can. So you've seen kind of under the hood what's happening from a technology standpoint. And I'm now going to show a video that gives you an idea of what the actual user experience looks like, because that previous video, is important from a technology point of view, but all of that is completely obscured from the user themselves. So I'm going to share my screen again, and you should now, I'm hoping, be able to, sorry, that's the wrong screen I've shared. 1 second. So you should now be able to see a video, and this video is of a user using the app in one of our locations. We've actually mapped several locations all over the planet because of, I guess, the uniqueness of what we are doing. And this video is from a user using the app in Singapore, where we've been working with the local transit authority to deploy the app across certain areas and hopefully eventually the entire city state. So I'll press play. What you're going to see is somebody walking around this outdoor retail area and then down to the train station itself, and you'll hear them. What the user's doing now is they're setting up a route from a stop called 21 Solo down to platform down.
Take the stairs up. At the top of the stairs, continue straight.
Hearing the instructions as they
take the escalator down. Continue straight. Continue straight. At the bottom of the escalator, continue straight. In 7 steps, pass through the fare gate. In 8 steps, turn to 9 o'clock and then take the escalator down. Take the escalator down. Turn to 9 o'clock and then turn to 9 o'clock and then for the platform for boarding point caution. Tracks on the right. Continue along the platform. In 9 steps you will arrive at DT platform A. Booking and departure point caution. Tracks on the right. You have arrived at your destination.
So I'll pause there. The users arrived at their destination. Obviously, this being a demo video, it works absolutely perfectly. And as the user arrives, the doors open. But that is the experience that we are looking to deliver as Waymap, where because of the location accuracy that we have, we can deliver incredibly accurate instruction that very few people in the world can. And the audio there was quite fast because a lot of our users like to listen to the voiceover quickly because they are used to that kind of speed. But you would have heard instructions like, in 7 steps, turn to 9 o'clock for the escalators, for example. And that's a level of instruction that is pretty unique to Waymap in both its timeliness and its accuracy. So that is roughly the experience we offer. In terms of where we are as a business, We're a British business originally, but really we want to scale this technology out to wherever in the world there is appetite for the technology, and thankfully that's a number of places so far. Our flagship deployment is in Washington, DC, where we are mapping and deploying the app across the entire city in conjunction with the local transit authority, which is called the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority. And the scale of that project is almost second to none in terms of accessible technology. It's going to be the first citywide mapping project to that level of accuracy that we know about, globally, which is really, really exciting. And the technology we've built is purpose-built for people with visual impairments, but is transferable to people with other disabilities, from mobility impairments to intellectual and developmental disabilities, to anybody who kind of lacks confidence in the way that they get around. So what we want to build at the end of the day is a community whereby you have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people commuting, and as they commute, they actually help to map and improve the quality of information we have. And what that means is that everybody who's going on their daily commute is actually helping to make that commute more accessible to other people who want to do that journey as well. So that's really the vision of where we want to get to as Waymap. We're a business really focused on location technology, but what's important is the user experience that we deliver. And that's us.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Wonderful explanation, outline of innovation in wayfinding. Nastya, over to you. Do you want to share the Q&A?
Sorry, Julian, I'm not able to hear you. I don't know if it's just me.
Am I?
Yeah.
Chelsea, I was just saying thank you so much for a very wonderful outline and dive into wayfinding. Fascinating stuff. Nastya, do you want to share the Q&A?
Yes, sure. So if anyone has a question for Julian, for Chelsea, right, for Joe, please go ahead. Or maybe a comment.
Well, I've got a question if nobody's going to start.
Well, I have questions too, yeah. So just start, Julian. Come on.
Okay, so I have a question for WeWalk and a question for Waymap. Question for WeWalk is, where did Joe and Sid, where do you guys think or would like WeWalk to be in the next 12 to 18 months?
You want to go ahead, Joe? You want me to take this?
You could start it off and I could build
Right,
off.
so WeWalk is based out of the United Kingdom, and we have our team in Turkey as well. And we are doing great activities in the US, and we are right now running a sort of a Black Friday promotion, which is doing well across the US and the UK. The next 12 to 18 months, we really envisage ourselves to be known across the globe, which is Europe, which is also Eastern Europe, the Arab world, the South Americas. I think WeWalk is a great product which has not yet proliferated into every country. We are there in about 59 countries. So we want to be there. Well, in how many countries are in the world? In 194 countries or 200 countries in the world? We want to be there in as many countries as possible. And we are doing that in terms of attracting lots and lots of B2B partners, and not just the direct users, obviously. So yes, this step, holding a webinar with you guys, with the European Union, I think it's one of the steps towards what we want to achieve. Yes, and then, yep, strength to us, upwards and onwards, absolutely.
Joe, maybe you could comment a bit on the functionality, usability, ergonomics of WeWalk, and where you want to take that maybe in 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, of course. In terms of where we want to be, we want to make sure that we're working with organizations to make it as ergonomically friendly for our users as possible. So we're always looking to develop solutions so that it's quite easy to use in terms of overall usage and adaptability, because adaptability is a big part of us for WeWalk as well. So we're always looking to enhance our hardware as well as our software. For example, one of the pieces of software that we're piloting right now in the UK is something called Assist. And with Assist, someone will actually be able to connect to a professionally trained agent in order to get sighted assistance. So for example, if someone is inside an airport and they need sighted assistance to navigate from wherever they're currently at to their gate, they'll be able to do that through the simple press of a button. They'll connect to one of our live professional agents that, again, has gotten the training in order to provide detailed sighted assistance to someone, and then they can guide them to wherever they need to go. In addition, if they are outdoors and let's say they're in the middle of navigating somewhere, as we all know, navigation is great, but sometimes they just need some assistance getting to the front door of an establishment. Maybe they're going to a very large sports stadium of some sort and they need help locating a specific entrance. With Assist, they'll be able to get that sighted assistance to get them to the front door of that exact place that they're trying to get to. In addition, with the AI mobility piece as well, in terms of what we're looking to do in the 12 to 18 months, we want to work very closely with operations and mobility specialists as well in order to get this into the hands of blind schools across the world, where this could perhaps be the ideal teaching tool that they can use to make sure that they're delivering cane training in the most efficient way possible. When we were developing AIM, we worked very closely with O&Ms to try to figure out what type of data they would want to see. And also from an organizational standpoint, just being able to measure the impact that they have overall in terms of how many hours their O&Ms are spending with their students, what the average confidence levels their students have. All of this can be reported on a larger level and not just on an individualistic level.
Okay, that's great, Joe. Thank you. So my question to Chelsea at Waymap is similar. Chelsea, what do you think might be the key developments in functionality and usability for Waymap in the next 12 to 18 months?
It's a good question, Julian. I think, we are as businesses, we've been building technology for a long period of time, and I think the key development is not actually that technical. It's about just generating as many maps as is physically possible, because the more maps you create, the more spaces you make accessible, and the value proposition to a user becomes much, much stronger. So if you look at what we're doing in DC, for example, we are mapping the entire city. And what that means is you'll be able to use the app to go from your home to your office, step by step, outdoors, indoors, through the transit network, and to the front door of your office. The next place we want to go is actually providing step-by-step navigation inside of your office, inside of your hospital, inside of the museum you want to go to, the clinic where you go to get your eye checkups, whatever it might be. We want to make all of those spaces accessible. There's a real network effect to the technology that we are deploying. So where we want to be from a technical point of view is not that far off of where we are today. Where we want to be in terms of the deployment side of things is really penetrating the cities we operate in. DC being our first city, but within the next 12 months, a key goal for us as an organization is to make a second city accessible as well. So we've got a couple cities, which I can't mention right now, that we are in conversations with, and hopefully one of those conversations will will progress to wet ink within the next few months. And that means that we can take Waymap from DC to a second city, potentially in America, but also potentially outside of the United States, because the vision is to deploy the same app across anywhere, basically, that people would like to travel, which is a lot of places.
Thank you, Chelsea. We have a question from Amandine.
Yes, thank you for this presentation. I have a question, a general question about these technologies, like WeWalk and Waymap. Do you have a strategy to make it affordable for all blind and partially sighted people from all backgrounds? Or do you work on it with authorities? do you have any information about it? Thank you.
So I'll jump in there quickly because I guess the answer is quite simple for us. The app is free, and the app will always be free to the end user. Our business model has never been predicated on charging the user. So we work with building owners, authorities, those kind of corporate entities to pay us, but we'll never charge the user.
Thank you. It's very clear.
Was the question also meant for WeWalk?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. So right now with WeWalk, we don't have a sort of a special pricing program, but then we are in the process of devising that. However, with our current version, we are running a Black Friday campaign, I think, which means that the WeWalk is much more affordable right now than it ever was. I think you can get a cane for approximately 275 to 300 euros right now until the end of this year, which is at 50% discount, which I think is much more affordable than, you know, contemplating buying WeWalk for around 600 or 650 euros. So yes, but when this promotion ends and we are back to our original pricing, we haven't yet devised a sort of an installment plan, but we work very closely with our B2B partners, which means if, let's say, we are in touch with someone with a B2B partner in Slovenia, we together can form a deal where, you know, we can form a deal where you can pay in installments, and that could happen, but it depends a lot on the local B2B partner for us to sort of, you know, do that arrangement. In the UK, we work very closely with our partner in Sight and Sound Technologies. They're very popular. And also, we work very close to the RNIB, Royal National Institute for the Blind. They are our partners when it comes to the research and developments. So yes, when it comes to working with the authorities, I think there's no one as big as RNIB in the UK. So we are very close to the blind community via RNIB. And if not this year, then for next year, for sure, you will have sort of better plans coming, you know, from our side in terms of affordability to the visually impaired people, especially the older people who can't afford. Yes, we are working on that. There's no solution yet, but we are working on that for next year. Yeah.
And just to add on to what Sid mentioned as well, for regions, for example, such as Germany, we work very closely with insurance companies such as Barmer to try to reach more visually impaired people over there, because we want to make sure that they can get some sort of insurance coverage or some sort of subsidized costs for acquiring these technologies. In the US, for example, as well, we're working with the Veterans Administration over there as well to get coverage for their purchases of canes for the veterans. But it's one of those things where we're exploring all avenues, whether it be through NGOs, through insurance companies, anything of that sort, where we can try to figure out how we can make it as affordable for the visually impaired community. And we recently installed installment plans as well. So if they don't want to pay the full cost upfront, they can go ahead and apply for an installment plan and just pay it in small payments.
That's for the US.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your answers.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your question.
So I would also like to say something. First, I would like to say that your presentations were so inspiring. Really, Julian, when you started listing the whole range of different technologies and products that I never heard of, you know, it was like so amazing to hear. And I imagine that many products that are now still quite expensive, through years they will get free of charge, and wow, this is just amazing what technology will bring to the society, right? And yeah, I have a question for Waymap. I don't know if I will say this like correctly in English, but when you were presenting the application, does it work or the functionality is only voice based, or like or is also suitable for people with mild low vision who don't rely on voice or something?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So the app has been built. There's an on-screen visualization of the map, which you can follow dependent on your level of sight. The app's also been built to be fully compliant with the accessibility features of the phone, whether it's on Android or iOS. So you can change the zoom levels, you can change the font, and yeah, kind of anything you can do typically with the cell phone, you can do within our app also. So you can also see it on screen. And at the moment, it's audio and on screen. And where we want to actually go in future is the kind of vision for the product is our slogan is anyone, anywhere. And it's, you know, one of those kind of cheesy classic corporate slogans, but it actually means what we're trying to build. Anyone meaning we want to actually provide location information and navigation for anyone regardless of their mobility requirements, whether you might have a visual impairment, an intellectual developmental disability, a mobility impairment, whatever it might be. So actually where we want to go is we also want to offer a photo-based kind of navigation, because we've done a lot of desktop research into the kind of navigation that people with mild, you know, to early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, etc., what they require, and a lot of that is visual based as opposed to audio based. So within the product today, sorry, this is a long answer to your question, it's audio and on screen, and where we want to go is also image based, so that we can provide a kind of navigation dependent on really what the user wants, as opposed to being prescriptive.
Thank you very much. So anyone else has a question?
If you could hear me, okay. Can you hear me? Yes, I've just got. Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm Kasper from Latvia, and I would like to. All the presentations was very interesting. Thank you very much. But what I would like to see from this webinar is it's like maybe some like a schedule with this product examples what you're talking about, and maybe look for them later and for all of the products, and that's why I ask for maybe it's possible to make like some schedule with these examples what you're talking about. Is it possible? And sent to us.
You probably, Kaspers, you mean a list of these examples that Julian was explaining?
Yes.
Sure, Kasper, I can do that for you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The list just continues to grow.
Of course, no, it's not problem. If it's more, it's better.
For sure. I mean, my comment really in this webinar is, or message is that, you know, assistive technology is not a panacea. It can't obviously prevent, treat, or cure eye disease, but it can certainly be a great friend to people in times of need. And there's certainly a big convergence in technological solutions. Tech developers are certainly talking to each other now about how to bundle up some of these solutions, because ultimately what we all need is just a clever platform that will take us seamlessly from one solution to another. We don't want to be carrying one device per solution. That just doesn't work for us. We just need one platform that can move us around within the built environment. I think there has to be much greater traction amongst, and certainly from Chelso's world of Waymap, he will understand this very well, that there has to be better traction with owners and operators of venues in many sectors. There has to be greater understanding amongst designers and developers and architects and access consultants and urban planners. There has to be greater acknowledgement from big money, from, for example, the World Bank, from MasterCard, all these people who get involved in supporting people through their corporate social responsibility activities throughout the world. They need to engage more closely with Waymap, with WeWalk, and with other assistive tech. It can't just be done from the tech developers themselves. So that, you know, we need to continue to create this network. And so if after this webinar, EBU members can be alerted, can be encouraged to go and talk to those responsible for policy, for standards, for regulation, then that would be all to the good, and we can create a situation, a context where these solutions can continue to develop. And I hope, as I said earlier, with grant money coming in behind. Over to you, Nastya.
Yes, here I am.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions, maybe? Okay, so there's no more questions. Thank you once again, very much. It was really interesting. After you leave, Julian will be still available, right? For some questions. We don't hear you, Juliana.
Oh. I'm very happy to speak, Nastya, obviously up after the webinar.
Yes.
Anybody wants to stay on, but can I just once again thank Chelsea from Waymap for coming on. Fascinating demo and explanation, and also to Joe and Sid from WeWalk. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, I would also like to thank developers from Waymap and from WeWalk. It was really interesting. And as much as I know, there are some users in Slovenia already using WeWalk.
That's great to know. That's great to know.
Yes, they are, because I just talked to one yesterday, but he was here actually, a participant, but he left already. So,
okay.
Unfortunately, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. And wait, let me see. There's one more question. Amandine, here you have a question.
Yes, just I would like to ask if you consider the user, like if it's a young person, an old person, or a pregnant woman, and if these tools, these technologies are adapted to each situation.
I'll go first there, Andy. Thank you very much. So from our point of view, we don't necessarily kind of categorize people based on anything other than the way that they walk. And we pick that up through the energy that they exert as they walk around. So we will be resilient to, if there's, you know, a change in somebody's circumstances, whatever it might be, we can pick that up, but we don't necessarily ask somebody when they download the app whether they are young, old, pregnant, not pregnant, anything like that. It's really all just got to do with the way that the person walks, and we don't actually pick that up on an individual basis either. You know, from a data privacy point of view, we make sure that we don't capture any user-specific information that people wouldn't want to share. That's what we do from Waymap side.
Thank you.
Joe, you want to answer this maybe?
Sure. On the WeWalk side, it's very likewise, where we don't try to capture any information that someone may not necessarily need. I think it's the bare minimum in terms of just creating an account. And then once you have an account, we don't ask for user-specific information regarding demographics or anything that would be considered PII of any sort. In the AI mobility platform, one of the things we may incorporate into it is perhaps capture what type of visual impairment they have or their visual acuity. For example, maybe O&Ms may want to know, or organizations may want to know how many students they have that have macular degeneration or cataracts. That might be something that we might ask students to fill out as they're signing up for AI mobility, so that the organizations as well as the O&Ms can capture that data if they ever need it, but it's still in the process of being developed, and whether or not we incorporate that is still up for debate at the moment.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so if we don't have questions anymore, I would like to thank you all, and I would like to invite you for our third webinar, which will take place on next Friday again at 10 a.m. local Slovenian time. And the speaker for the next webinar will be my Slovenian colleague, Masha. She's a doctoral student at Faculty of Arts in Ljubljana. She studies psychology. And the topic will be mental health. So everybody welcome. And if you might have some friends or someone who would be interested, please invite them. And now we will finish this webinar, and Julian will stay a little bit longer if there's anyone who would like to ask him a question. So I wish you all a wonderful weekend, and keep in touch, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Nastya.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Amandine, I see you have a question, so just go ahead.
Hello, Amandine.
No, thank you. Just wanted to say thank you for the great conference, and it was not raising hands, but just applause for all our speakers.
Well, it's a great pleasure to have had the opportunity to talk, Amandine. And which country are you representing?
I am a project manager at the European Blind Union.
Brilliant. Okay.
Julian, she's my boss at this project, you know.
Oh! Well, I'm very, very happy that the EBU has organized and supported this webinar with Nastya and her team, because, as I said in my introduction, there's such amount of work to do to try to spread the word about assistive technology, and to try and make this technology more accessible. Affordability is a big issue, obviously. You know, the price of this tech is one of these issues that we are always wrestling with, yeah. But I think in time, once the scalability of this sort of technology has improved, then the price will of course come down. I mean, the one benefit with Waymap, obviously, is the business model, Amandine. They are making money. Well, not yet, but they will be charging the owners and operators of venues, not the user. And that's, I think, a very important point. WeWalk is very conscious of the price, but if you compare the price of their smart cane with, I don't know, a smart cane in France called Rango, maybe you've heard of Rango, that is over 2,000 euros. And, you know, that's an impossible price for many people. I know that there are some national insurance projects that can help fund that device, but you know, it's a lot of money.
Yes, I see. And it was just a question to learn about how this kind of new technologies scale up, and it's maybe if one of the other technology developers had already planned to spread to all users from all backgrounds, to ensure that they cover them. But now I understand that, and I think it's already feasible for Waymap. It's great that the business model makes it free, and
Amandine, the success of Waymap depends entirely on operators and owners of buildings. Yeah. So if you are a museum or a sports stadium or a university campus or a hospital, whatever you are, you need to appreciate the importance of giving enhanced access to your visitors, paying customers, guests, and so on. And I think the key point for Waymap is, as I said at the beginning, and I think Chelsea mentioned, Waymap should be appropriate for not just the visually impaired. My mother is 93. She can see, she has a mobile phone, she has her own website. But if you put her in the middle of Charles de Gaulle Airport or Heathrow or somewhere, she is completely lost. So she needs to have this type of enhanced navigation where she can either see the dot on the map and tell the Waymap app where she wants to go, or she can hear the audible description of the places, the so-called points of interest on the map. So I should be able in time to walk into Charles de Gaulle Airport and say to it, take me to passport control, take me to the disabled toilet, take me to Cafe Nero, wherever. And it should take me like that, whether I am visually impaired or not. That's the key point. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's very useful because everybody, I think almost everybody is very completely lost in Charles de Gaulle Airport at first.
No, I can imagine. So, as I said, we need people involved with regulation, with policy and standards, urban planning. All of these people need to get involved in the conversation about widening access to cities and to towns, and to understand the benefit of actually helping people simply move around. I don't go to the theatre or to the supermarket on my own because I would get lost. But with Waymap or with WeWalk or some of these other technologies, I will have the confidence to do that. I will go and spend money in these places, but only if I know I can be, as I said earlier, safe and independent and completely informed about my surroundings. I need to have orientation, not just navigation. And I need to know that I can cross the road safely, maybe with Smart Cross or one of these apps. So a combination of obstacle avoidance and wayfinding and one or two other functions will be absolutely transformational. And I'm just hoping that Waymap can find other places in Europe to trial. There's a great deal of interest in Germany right now, especially in Schleswig-Holstein. It's popped up in Madrid, and we're hoping, of course, in Slovenia, Nastya, at some point.
Absolutely,
but,
yeah.
Yeah. So I think I hope that Waymap will have the opportunity to be trialed and to demonstrate to as many visually impaired and fully sighted people as possible, and also show how appropriate it can be for, as I said earlier, also people with other challenges, learning disabilities and autism and so on. There's so much development, Amandine, going on with rerouting, with emergency extraction, with virtual tours before you actually go on the physical journey, with remote sighted assistance also involved in integrated into Waymap. So there's plenty going on, and I'm just grateful if the EBU can continue to support this kind of information promotion, can get the word out. I'm very happy to speak at any EBU event if you're interested, or to visit the EBU and talk about other technologies. And you have my email, I think, on my logo there, Amandine, if you wanted to contact me directly.
Yes. Thank you. It's very interesting. Thank you to have accepted to take part to this webinar, and thank you, Nastya, for organizing all this. Yeah, really thank you. It was a great webinar. very instructive.
Thank you so much. And shall we, Nastya, shall we wait to get the link for the recording? How do you want to do that? How does that work?
Yes, I will. Okay, first I have to stop recording, or maybe Rocco already did. Let me see. Record. Okay, so the video should be already saved somewhere. I'm not that good with computers, you know. I'm so sorry, but I will send you the link.
Lovely, thank you so much.
If that's fine, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
I will send the link to everybody who attended. So
that's great. And any link on Twitter or whatever, you know, post-event promotion.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope.
I will have to ask Amandine to send it to me first, you know, because as I said, like, I don't use Twitter, but I think we should use Twitter as an organization, right? Yes, I'll take care of this. Okay.
Okay, and give my best wishes to Stefan.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Nastya. Take care, Amandine.
Just a second, Julian. Maybe
Thanks,
Nacho,
Julian.
if Nacho is still here, maybe he
Yes.
can comment. Yes, okay.
Yes.
About Twitter,
yeah, I mean, I can share you the tweet line that that I've been drafting. I mean, so far I've posted like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tweets so far. And then what I will do is a recap post on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. And I will make sure that Vision Bridge, Waymap, and WeWalk are tagged in the post.
Thank you very much. Look, I just have one last question, Nastya, for you and Amandine, which is, were you disappointed or surprised by the number of people that joined the webinar?
That's maybe more question for Amandine. Like, what's the usual number of people?
Nastya, do you know how many people registered for the webinar?
Yeah, it was like this. The more people registered, but some of them did not come. But I sent links directly to some other people who came and were not registered. If you know what I mean, yeah. So it was maybe a little bit like combination of registered and just invited. Or
Yeah.
to say, yeah.
But Nastya, if the people who registered and didn't come, and the people who registered at the last minute, all of them will receive the recording, right? Can you make sure?
I honestly was not thinking about this before, but yeah, they could actually, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be.
For me, that's okay, because if they expressed interest, yeah, sure,
Yes,
I
think
this,
that's really important. And
yeah.
And also, I'd love to have a list. I know you sent me a preliminary list, but if you could send me a final list of the countries represented, that would be very helpful.
Yes, I can send.
That would be very helpful. Lovely.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Look, thank you so much.
But if you asked, Julian, I'm like, that's how it is on Zooms,
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, I know. Like even if we host event as our national union, it used to be more like 30 people, and then lately like 15. That's a expected number.
I know.
Yeah,
Not to worry. You did your very best, and so did Amandine, and so did Mr. Twitter here. Thank you very much. Thank you
very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julian.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Bye.